I want to do is set up big data. There's a lot of it out there, and this came out 2 weeks ago, Planet of the Phones, and I was kind of shocked because when you think about at the end of a decade, 80% of the adult population in the world having a smartphone in their pocket tells you there's going to be a massive amount of connectivity that's going to be out there. And as a marketer, you get really excited because that connectivity is a point of contact where you can talk to someone. And if I'm thinking about what I do with marketing, I'm delivering a relevant message to you, group of people, that is intended to change the status quo in my favor, the marketer. And it's really, really hard. And with all of those connection points, getting the right message at the right time to that right individual is simply not working like it used to. And the big question is, well, why? So when I looked at some data, and it turns out that the average person, the average adult in America, is exposed to 70 hours of media and digital technology every single week. 70 hours. Thousands and thousands of ads in that 70 hours. That is a lot of clutter. And I thought, okay, technology must certainly be making that better. We must be using technology for good, right? No. If you look at the history going back 5,000 years, start from the upper left, work your way around, it's exactly the opposite. Technology is exacerbating that problem. The messaging that we're being overexposed to is a result of all that good stuff, the 80 million or the 80% of the population with phones in their pocket. So I went and I looked at the digital ecosystem. If I'm an advertiser and I want to put an ad in front of you to market to you on, say, Facebook, pick a spot on the internet, that's the morass that you have to go through to figure out how to get that ad out in front of someone. It is really complex. And I thought to myself, that something must be wrong if that's the digital ecosystem. Well, maybe there's an opportunity to do the same thing in the car. You know, this nice little ecosystem that's closed off on driving along, wouldn't that be a great place? And look what's going to happen. You're going to have that opportunity. And then I was thinking to myself, well, the technology is increased, and we've seen what happens in the internet. What's going to happen in our car? Probably more of the same. That cacophony of over-messaging is about to dominate. So no matter where you go in this digital space, with all of the data that's coming through and all of these connection points, we have to figure out how to move from this idea of averages to individuals so that we can deliver the right message at the right time to the right individual. So if I look at that idea of sameness, on the left-hand side, if I was going to go out and I was going to put an ad on, pick a website page, www.abc.com, doesn't really matter what the page is. You're looking at the profile of who's going to be on that website, and if you put an ad onto that website, hopefully the right profile of individuals on that site sees the ad, and some of those individuals might actually be interested in what you're talking about. Well, we can do better than that. We can go to an ad network and we can say, okay, I only want certain individuals within a network of sites, and we're now talking to individuals with more relevant messaging. There's less waste. The best way would be to have no waste. I've identified the exact individuals that I want to talk to, no one else, and I'm going to deliver the exact message at the exact time that's relevant to them. That notion is audience planning. It is changing everything about the media landscape. The idea of audience first dominating everything else is the direction that everything is going. And in order to accomplish that, you need to have data that helps us understand that audience at an incredibly granular level. So up on the screen, two things. On the left-hand side, think about the world of automotive. There are going to be about 17 million new vehicles sold this year. Retail, maybe 14 million vehicles sold. And out of that universe, about 48% are going to return to the car company that they bought from before. 48%. And it turns out most car companies know an amazing amount of information about those loyalists. An amazing amount. They do a great job of working with them over the life cycle of that vehicle to get them to come back into the dealership showroom. There was a presentation from Urban Science about an hour ago. One of the things that you do is you bring them into the dealership franchise system for service, and their loyalty is about 50% higher. We know a lot about those loyalists. We can do great things. Conquest is a different story. It costs 8 times more to get someone to walk into a dealership that has not bought your brand, if they'll even walk in, than it does to bring a loyalist in. You have to be able to understand the marketplace at a granular level, and the one thing we know is that media is moving to one-to-one, and when you have one-to-one media, you have to have granularity to be able to go after each and every individual with the right message at the right time. This is an ecosystem. There's a lot of stuff up there. And that ecosystem says start in the upper left with some kind of goal, some kind of objective, find the right person to talk to, right group to talk to, figure out the data, and use every possible asset that you possibly can. Literally thousands and thousands of different points of data to go and find the right individual and to group those together into some kind of a coherent audience. And to put the right message with the right incentive in front of them at the right time is an absolute challenge. And it turns out no matter how good your predictive data is, it'll never be as good as what someone's actually doing online. So you got to be able to optimize the whole thing in real time. Thousands of points of data all in real time. Pretty massive. This is what we do to simplify the whole thing. You work with partners that are part of that massive ecosystem we showed you with all those different players to put that right audience in front of the right person, the right message in front of the right audience, the right time, and to find out if it's working, and then to optimize with real measurement in real time. This is all stuff that's happening right now using big data. And the key point with a big data asset is that you have to deploy it in a way that makes sense for the pragmatic use of a marketer. So I'm going to show you some of the things that we're doing to pull that apart. One of the things that IHS has is a complete forecast of every new vehicle that's going to be coming into the marketplace. This is just an example we pulled from a few months back. The terminology in the industry might be cycle planning. Something up there that shows you what's coming. These are new vehicle launches. You can do the same thing with marketing events. Anyone's in a market for a truck, this is truck month, right now. The idea is know what's coming, and then pull apart your potential opportunities. Pull it apart in a way that helps you understand your audience so you know who's coming back in the market at the right time, and be able to categorize them in a way that drives the right message and the right incentive against that audience. This is just an example pulling it apart in 28 different ways as you think about where everyone could come from who presently either owns a vehicle or might be a new buyer who's never ever owned a vehicle, or someone who's adding to a household. I got one car in the garage, I want 2. Pull it apart, understand it, and apply data assets. This is coming back to what Michelle Isley said this morning. Apply a big data asset. In this particular case, there are over 3 billion records that are applied against that in a predictive manner. With that application, here's my final slide. Here's a case study. In the US, you've got about 119 million households, depending on the count, give or take. Let's find individuals who are the right distance from a given franchise dealer network. So this is a smaller OEM, actual case study. In this particular case, we want to find individuals who are no more than 10 miles from a given dealer point. We want to understand which are the right vehicles to go after for conquest. So these are not loyalists. These are not someone driving this particular manufacturer's brand. These are individuals that they absolutely want to come into the showroom for the first time, and they want them to turn in that competitive vehicle. Find out which models are going to be in market and put the right message at the right time so that it's competitive relative to all that clutter that we talked about earlier. And as you're looking at that target prospect list, hone down those 119 million households into something that's more manageable. In this particular case, there's a count of about 1.8 million potential customers that would come in. Now here's the game in marketing. It is about numbers. At the end of the day, you're not going to get everyone, but you can do a heck of a lot better than if you did nothing. In this particular case, you had, at the end of the day, 3,800 sales, and if we would have done nothing compared to the status quo, that number would have been 1/6 of that level. So that lift is what happens when you apply big data in that ecosystem that we talked about. And that's the pragmatic use of big data. Did I make my time?
Very good.
All right. Thank you.